Welcome to Quilting Stash with scraps of information and ideas for your quilting pleasure. This is episode number 238, a visit with Cherry Guidry of Cherry Blossoms Quilting. And I'm Annie Smith, bringing you Quilting Stash, the first podcast for quilters. Well, quilters, you can see today that I have Cherry Guidry as my guest, and I'm so excited. Cherry, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Annie. So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, Cherry, so let's just jump right in. And because we have not known each other our whole lives, Cherry, how did we meet?
I took a class from you. Yay. When I was a beginning quilter back in, was it 2006, Annie? It was a quilter's palette class.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the best class. I'm serious. I learned so much. And especially because at this point, I started quilting in 04 and sewing all my life, right? And wanted to quilt for the longest time. So in 04, I took my first beginning quilting class and, started taking classes, everything I could do. But Applique just kept calling my name and calling my name. And I tried it. And I just learned all the good things I know about Applique. I learned from you in that class.
Oh, thanks.
And quilter's palette was more than just applique, right? We had piecing and we had all sorts of techniques in there.
It's a sampler of techniques. But Cherry, what kind of a class was it?
It was an online class, believe it or not, back in those days.
Yep.
Right? So yeah, probably the first online class out there, quilting class.
Well, one of the first, it was before right? Craftsy ever came around, and then Craftsy kind of buried.
Yes.
So anyway, but yeah, so we met each other virtually.
Yes.
And then we met face to face in Portland at the quilt market. And I didn't even realize that you were going to be there. And I just walked up and I saw Cherry Blossoms Quilting. And then I looked at you and I went, ah.
I know. And then we've gotten to hang out after that, right? At a few markets, which has been great.
Exactly. And so Cherry and I have become really good friends and meeting each other virtually over the internet in an online class. But so Cherry is a magnificent quilter, designer, and Cherry designs fabric for Benartex. And so Cherry, that's one of the things that, just jumping right in, I would really love for you to talk about is designing fabric. And so can you share with us how you got started with that? You know, did you contact them? Did they invite you? And how long have you been doing it? And how many collections you've done for them?
Oh, goodness. So it was fantastic. So let me tell you, when I was a kid and my mom would run errands, she would always say, "What do you want me to bring?" And my siblings wanted candy or little toys. And guess what? I wanted fabric.
That's great.
I didn't want anything else. I wanted fabric because at 4, I wanted to sew dresses for my dolls, right? My Barbies. And so that was my thing. So I had this whole thing about fabric and sewing and love fabric. So I went to my first quilt market in 2013 and I can't remember exactly what the date was, but Benartex, that's a sister company of Bernina. They invited me to design fabric. So I came home one day and there's a little message on my phone that said, "Hey," and the president of Benartex said, "We would love to have you as a designer." So I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so exciting," and totally unexpected. Because it's not like I was looking for it. So yeah, got on the phone, and of course I had no idea how to design fabric. And at the same time, CNT also approached me. And so it was utter madness. I had to teach myself how to use Illustrator because that's what I draw in, and how to actually do a fabric collection. And learning palettes, and I had to order, I ordered the Pantone palette for textiles. And it was just this whole learning experience, but it was fantastic. I mean, I wasn't getting much sleep in those days, which I do nowadays. And so yeah, that's how I started. So that was in 2014. And so with the fall market of 2014, I had my first collection. It was called Frosty, and it was this beautiful little collection with snowman and owls, the little forest creatures. And so just really did really well, and it was just so exciting. So that was my first collection, and right now I am over 20 collections.
Wow.
And I guess I need to go count because I kind of lost track. And so I've been averaging between 2 and 4 collections. I think I had one year where we had 5. Utter madness. So we're cutting back down. So I think this year we're down to 3. So I just almost finished with for probably BU and then working on fall.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so for those who don't know, what is BU?
Oh, Bernina University. So just like we have Quilt Market, which is a trade show for the quilting industry, Bernina University is for the Bernina Sewing Company, Bernina Sewing Machine Company, and that's their own little market.
Yeah, and that's for dealers, the stores that sell Bernina and all of their products. And so, so there's Bernina and Benartex and Brewer, which is a distributor of all these products. And so they are all hand in hand.
Oh, and also OESD, the Oklahoma Embroidery Company.
That's right, huh?
And they've also actually digitized several of my fabric collections, so
That's
that
right.
I have embroidery to go with some of them. So I have a new one coming pretty soon.
And so can you share with us what's current and what's coming for you?
As far as fabric,
Uh-huh.
Did you want to see anything?
Can you share with us?
I can kind of grab the cards.
Oh, that'd be super cool.
Okay, so let me just go get that.
Right. Okay, so if you're watching the video, you can see this absolutely incredible kite quilt that is behind Sherry, and just how sweet that is. That is a fabric collection of hers, and we'll have her say which collection it is, but you can see that she also has an apron there that is just so darling. But see, Cherry has a specific style, that once you know what her style is and you see her fabric and you see her quilts, you'll know immediately that it's Cherry. And so I love what she does. So Cherry, I was talking about the kite quilt, and so which fabric collection was that from?
So this was Choose to Shine, and this collection was out a couple of years ago. It's still available in stores, so you can still get it, and it's just full of happy thoughts. And so it's one of my favorite collections. It's just so happy.
Yeah.
And I love that quilt. I love that quilt. It's just so pretty.
It is darling.
Yes. Okay, so I can tell you, I think I grabbed one too many. So in stores right now, I have this collection called Plant It With Love. And these are just paper printouts because once market changed. So I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
But this one, has all kinds of little fruits and veggies, and it has a little seed packet. So this was still in stores, and it's just a fun collection. It's just very colorful. It's this beautiful rainbow of color. So I had a lot of fun designing that one. And then after that, I have another one. It's a little bit more subtle, and it's called Words to Quilt by. And I had a collection, oh my goodness, I guess it's been 3 years, that was Words to Live by. And it did really well. And so we brought the sequel with the sewing emphasis. And so it has all these much softer colors and a couple of panels. And I don't know if you can see, but it's all positive sewing sentiments there.
How sweet, because you could cut the sentiments up and use them for your label on your quilt, or, you know, put those in strategic areas for your quilt.
Yeah, and I do have a couple of patterns for that. So I always have at least one free pattern to go with the collections, and that's what I did with those. I used the panels for that. And then this is what is currently shipping to stores, and it's a sequel to the Plant It With Love collection. And so we had seeds first, and now we have the actual little flowers. And so the panel, again, I don't know if you can see, but it has little sentiments and little flower pots. It's kind of hard to tell, you know, but they're just positive little, I don't know if you can see that if it's too close.
Tell us what some of them are, Cherry.
Okay, so, and I should remember this, right? Live for the moment, says one. Live Live in Full Bloom, which is the name of the collection, Full Bloom. And love what you do what you love. So it's quirky little things.
Sweet. They're darling.
I know the colors are just sweet and just very springy. But happy. And I just like happy. You know, if you look at my stuff, it's all just happy. I have another collection, and I'm not sure that this is the current card, but I think it is. That should be shipping pretty soon. And this, so now we're going from summer, spring to winter. So it's this little collection, and this is the panel for it. And it's all about Christmas and home. And so the name of it is Heart and Home. And so this one is brand new. I think it's already on the website, the Benartex website. So, but anyway, I just had fun, and I wanted to make some really large scale houses. And there they are. It's a neighborhood of course. So this one's really sweet, and I'm anxious to get going on some of the projects for that. So this is a sneak peek, because this is not out for anybody to know, but this is what's coming. And it's called At Home, because we have been at home for a year, right? And so it's just full of, again, lots of sweet sentiments about the home. And oh gosh, one of my favorite things is this print right here. It's chalk. And you know how chalk is so cool.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Yes. So can you see the chalk?
Textured.
So anyway, that's it. And actually, so we'll have all these colors for this chalk collection. And then for the collection that I'm almost done with right now, we're going to add another set of 8. So, because it'll be a great basic, right?
Fantastic.
So, okay. That's what I'm working on. I don't think I left anything out. Does that help?
That's super. Hold on just a sec. I want to go turn off the heater, which is giving more ambient noise.
Okay.
There was one time early when I was doing podcasts that I went to a retreat that was up in Marin County. And so there was only one place that I could interview a bunch of the quilters who were there. And they all had some really fabulous stories to share. And we were in one of the quilters' rooms, and the wall heater kept going off and on and off and on and on through every single one of the interviews that I did. And so I try to have the ambient noise really taken care of before I do a recording. But anyway, you know, it just shows that podcasts are real, right?
Right. That's like me teaching. I have, you know, we have a railroad track right in front of the house. Just like a block from it. Did I tell you about this? And it was condemned. I mean, they weren't using it. They covered all the tracks at the intersections, and then all of a sudden it was a paper mill on the other end, a couple of towns over. And they decided to reopen it. So guess what? I'm in the middle of class, and here goes the horn.
Great.
And it's always in the middle of talking. Anyway.
Well, and you know, the thing is, if you weren't teaching virtually, nobody would ever have that experience, right?
Right.
But because we've been home for a year now.
A year.
Oh,
yes.
My gosh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I know. But how sweet, Cherry, that you did the at-home collection, because you know, people can make a significant quilt out of those fabrics, you know, commemorating this time at home. And That's so wonderful. Well, so Cherry, tell us about um, the virtual classes that you're doing, because you are.
Yes, I have been doing virtual classes. Yeah, from the beginning of pandemic, just went crazy. It was just, I guess the need to communicate and to reach out to people, and everybody feeling so isolated. So
Yes.
the classes were perfect. And I actually started off doing, I had this little, oh, where is that little project? Let me just grab that real quick. Can I go
Sure.
grab that? Okay, so this little quilt is a little project that I did for the Bernina blog.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, you can go online and download the pattern, or just, follow the instructions on the blog. But this was just so appropriate for what we were going through. And so a friend of mine, a shop owner in North Carolina, she was like, we should do something. And it was like, let's just do this. And we just did it as a free class. And it was just so much fun, and just to have heart and all these things, right? And so that was the beginning of all my virtual classes. And then of course that went on into doing applique classes and ruler work. And yeah, I've done a couple of different applique type classes. And so yeah, it's kept me pretty busy.
Yeah.
And even have done some virtual retreats.
So
So
tell us about those.
right, because it's basically you start off the day early, and you begin a project, and you get so much instruction, and then you get a little break, and well, the teacher gets a break, and you continue sewing as a student.
Yeah.
And then you pick back up. And so it's just a lot of fun. It's just a great way to stay in touch with other quilters.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super. Something else that you said prompted another question, and what in the world is it?
Oh, but and talking about the virtual classes, because you think, oh my goodness, it's going to be really hard to understand. But what I have found is that people really like the close-ups. They just get so much more visual access to what you're demonstrating. Does that make sense?
Yes, instead of crowding around a
Instead of
table
a
and
crowd and everybody's trying to see what's going on, you have that camera that's right on the sewing machine presser foot or whatever it is, especially with the ruler work classes, because people can really see what you're doing. And and of course they can't see what we're doing because we have all the stuff.
right, right.
But anyway, it's been great. I think people have really benefited from that, and it's kind of built a little bit of a community with these students. So it's fantastic.
Well, and so Cherry, that was the question, is that you are a long armor. You do
Yes.
machine quilting. And so how long have you been doing that? And so tell us about
My long arming.
quilting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so the two things that just really grabbed me when I started quilting was applique and free motion quilting. And so I was sewing on other brand sewing machine, and it was a really nice sewing machine, but it didn't have the right blanket stitch, the simple little blanket stitch that Bernina has. It's so beautiful. And so I ended up getting a new machine, and I bought my first Bernina, and it was this tiny little 220. And I tell you, little workhorse. But I was trying to quilt a twin size quilt on that baby. And I quilted and quilted, and it was looking great. And I got to the very bottom corner, and I made a few mess ups. And my shoulders were hurting. And my husband walked by, and he's like, "Don't you need one of those bigger machines?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so."
Of course.
And so we went shopping, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is the cost of a car.
Right.
And so I thought, it's a little bit of overkill, right? But I wanted to do it myself because I'm a DIYer. I just, it's like, I love the challenge of figuring out how to do something. I don't want to buy it made. I want to do it myself. When I was in kindergarten, I remember the teacher coming out with a bowl of Play-Doh that she had made, whatever. And I wanted to know how to make the dough. right? I didn't want to go buy it. So it's just been that whole thing, right? So I thought, you know what? I'll just quilt, because they tell you that too. When you go look at a long arm machine, they say, oh, you could just quilt so many quilts and pay for your machine. And that's what I did. And I became a long arm quilter. And this is, I think it was towards the end of 2006. That's like a magical number, date, year in my quilting life. But that's what I did. And I long arm quilted, goodness, all the way through about, I think it was around 2015 that I gave up the long arm quilting, just because I was trying to juggle a full-time job and also, you know, my design business that just grew and just took off like crazy. And
Right.
so I don't really long arm quilt. I do, you know, for a few
For you.
people, but
Yeah.
not very, very often. But I absolutely love it. And, you know, I started out with just a hand guided machine, and then I upgraded to the computerized system.
Right.
And so, you know, but yeah, it's fantastic. I still love, you know, I have the computer system, but I prefer free motion quilting and ruler work. Love, love, love
Yeah.
quilting with rulers. So
Okay.
yeah.
Neat. Okay, so Terry, not only do you do long arming and designing fabric, but every time you do a fabric collection, you have to have quilts that
Yes.
are made with the fabric collection so that the shop owners can know how to use them and sell the fabric and inspire their customers to be able to want to do what you do. And so, you know, we wear many hats, and you definitely wear many, many hats.
Absolutely.
But so what is, if you only had to pick one of your patterns, which one would it be that you feel that people know you from?
Oh my goodness. It's my Christmas tree.
You don't happen to have it handy, do you?
You know, mm, I should have. Let me take a peek over here.
All right.
All these little breaks.
Could you also grab Sunday Ride?
Okay, let me see. Let me see.
This is really worth it. Wait until you see what this is, because when you see it, you'll go, well, of course I know what that is. That's Cherry. Yay.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, Annie, I don't have any of those quilts up here.
Oh, that's okay.
Do you want to take a break and I go get them? I'll go dig them up.
Are, would it be easy for you to do? Otherwise, we can put pictures up on the website.
Okay.
And we're gonna put the link to your website, and then they
Okay.
can go and take a look.
So I'll just send you pictures of that.
Yeah.
Because they're in,
Yeah.
containers.
No, I was just saying that as soon as they see it, they'll go, oh, of course, that's Cherry. Oh, of course I know that.
I can show you, I have one other I can show you here that's very popular too.
Because I was going to say, I was scrolling through Instagram a couple nights ago, and somebody shared the Christmas tree.
Yes, the Christmas tree is super popular, but this one is
Oh,
very popular. I don't know if you can
yeah.
see it, but this is the dress. And
that is so gorgeous, Cherry. And see, that is your style. That is something that people see that and go, oh, that is the style of the person who designed it. And if they don't see, you know, your name or the pattern or whatever, they might not realize that it's yours, but they know your style when they see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my number 3. I have the Christmas tree, and then I have a little wreath that accompanies that. And then the third design was this one that just still very popular. And as a matter of fact, I do digitize my embroidery, my applique, so that if you don't want to manually stitch them out, which is a lot of fun too, if you have an embroidery machine, you can just get the files for that and just stitch everything out with your embroidery machine, because we love our embroidery machines, right? But this dress is also going to be available so that you can stitch it out all in the hoop. So you don't have to stitch all these tiny little shapes by hand, all those little circles.
I know, but you know what, Cherry? That's what I love about your work, is the very organic and elegant nature of what you design. You know, there's, I mean, even your kite quilt behind you, it seems simple, but it's not. Even though, you know, it's not like it would be really hard to make. It's that, you know, there's an elegance about what you design, and that's what
Aw,
I love.
thank you, Annie.
Your signature.
I had a great teacher.
Well, it wasn't just me.
Oh yeah. But Annie, would you believe I still haven't quilted that quilt?
No.
It's right there. It keeps waiting because, you know, it's like, my goodness, you blink and 10 years have gone by. And it's like, how come?
Jerry, I know. Let me tell you, I have some UFOs that I probably started over 20 years ago that I still are not put together. And I've got some that I still have never finished designing,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yes.
there you go.
Right.
Because time just goes by. You know, it seems like time has been moving really, really slow for like the last month or so. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's just like, whoops, we just hopped on a train and here we go. You know?
It's the end of February,
I know,
basically, right? Well, the 18th.
I
Yeah.
know. And then, you know, when you think about the last year and, you know, the pandemic and everything, you know, it seemed like we would never get out of here. And, you know, by golly, a year's already gone by and it just zoomed by,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard sometimes to get a grasp on how time goes by, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay. So, Cherry, we've been friends now for a good long time, and we're both Bernina ambassadors. So we've
Yes.
seen each other in that environment as well.
Yes.
And we've kept in touch. And so we started talking at the end of last year about collaborating on a project together. And so, Cherry, will you tell us what the project is?
Oh my goodness, it's this fantastic mystery quilt along that we are doing. And we are blending both our design ideas. And we're doing 16 applique hand embroidered blocks, right?
Yes.
And what's great about it is that it's not just a project that you tune into our website and download the instructions and you're on your own, right? And maybe post a picture or two here and there, right? This is going to be more of a community. And even if you don't know how to applique or how to do hand embroidery, we're going to teach you how to do all these things. So with every block, we're going to give you instruction on how to get it done and also support you. So if you have any questions, we're going to be right there to help you out. And hopefully we can build a really great community of quilters that will join us. And but the focus of our project is also, the title of it is Count Your Blessings. And we just wanted to focus on the good things because we have just been, you know, we've all been going through a horrendous year. But we need to be reminded about the good things. And so that's what this project is all about.
Right. Right. I know. And so it, I am so excited about this project because we each have an opportunity to design 8 of the blocks ourselves. And so we picked the topics or themes that we're going to use. And so it's going to be so fun to see how we design those out because we're in the process of it and choosing our fabrics and all that stuff. And so it'll be fun to see if the people who do the quilt along with us can figure out whose design is whose because our styles do blend
Very blend.
very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
But you know, it was an easy thing to choose the topic of count your blessings, just because
Mhm.
this year has been so hard.
Mhm.
There has not been anyone that has not had to sacrifice something significant in their lives
Mhm.
during this time. You know, everybody can understand and empathize with everything that we've all gone through, whether they've gotten COVID or not, or you
Mhm.
know, had family members or lost family members, or any of those things, because
Right.
we've all sacrificed in one way or the
Yeah.
other. But really, truly, amid all of this in the last year, we've heard stories of amazing
Mhm.
things that have happened for people, which are really blessings that are given to us. And
Yeah.
the thing that I think held us together and helped us, you know, through social media and stuff like that, is realizing that we had that common bond of, oh my goodness, look what happened here. Look, you know, look at the blessings that happened for that person. And so it was very inspirational to hear all of the different things that really helped us keep our spirits up. Otherwise, it would have been just more devastating than it already was, right? Because the isolation has been so hard.
Yeah. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, you know, through, you know, the social media groups that Cherry and I both belong to as quilt designers and Bernina ambassadors and things like that, we've been able to share stories like that with our fellow quilt designers and people in the industry. And that really is what brought us to, hey, isn't it about time we worked on a
Yeah.
project together?
Yes.
Yeah,
Because every now and then we've talked about it, but it never went anywhere.
right,
And this is
right.
just a perfect opportunity.
Right. And just the idea of doing a quilt along and reaching out to quilters and
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, come on, join us with this. It'll be fun. You know, we'll give you inspirational things to think about. And this is going to be a very happy quilt, don't you think,
Yes,
Cherry?"
absolutely. Yes.
And the one thing that, you know, we tried to figure out all of the ins and outs and all the little nitty gritty things for you.
Mhm.
And one of the things we decided is that we are going to use Cherry's fabric collections for the kits that we're offering, and also to make our samples.
Yeah.
And so over my shoulder, up on the top shelf here, you can see folded fabric with spools of thread that match. And on the top, let me grab it because this will look familiar to you now that you've seen Cherry's fabric cards. And this is the focus fabric of Cherry's that I'm going to use for my kit. And so the colorway of all of the colors that are in this is what has inspired me. And this one is, Cherry, you know right off the top of your head. Oh, what's the name of this?
That collection is Planted with Love.
Oh, Plant It With Love.
Yes.
Okay. And so I just, when I saw this, you know, because I had several of Cherry's collections to choose from. And I was just like, as soon as I saw this fabric, I went, oh my gosh, this is it.
I love
And
that print.
so I'm so
So
excited. Yeah.
yes.
And so it's going to be fun to see what we come up with, because Cherry and I are both with the collection that you're going to use, Cherry, which
Yes.
is,
I am using full bloom. So and it coordinates perfectly with what you're doing. So
yeah,
this is the one, it's again just very bright,
yeah.
happy colors.
And
Yeah.
they're going to overlap a little bit.
Mhm.
So we're both going to be using some of the same fabrics in
Yes.
our kits, but um, so there are going to be two kits available for you. So the one that I do as my sample and the one that Cherry does as her sample. And
Mhm.
so they're going to vary a little bit,
A
but
little
they're
bit.
both going to be really happy.
Yes.
And we're also matching Aurifil threads in different weights that you can purchase as well to go along with your kit. So you don't have to worry about picking thread on top of that too.
Yes.
And so we've got all kinds of cool little things planned, don't we,
Oh
Cherry?
my goodness. Yes. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And so the thing that sets apart this quilt along from other quilt alongs that are available is that number one, it's a mystery.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to do it this way because we want to be able to give you each week something that you haven't seen before and other people haven't made ahead of you. And
Right.
so each block that we reveal will be a brand new design.
Mhm. Yes.
And so we have a lot of options for a lot of different things like sayings that go along with it or verses or quotes or things like that for you to choose from. And we're doing all of our instruction by Zoom. So whoever is going to be a part of the quilt along, um, you will have a 1 hour Zoom class once a week so that we can demo what you may not know.
Mhm. Oh,
And so that's
yes.
going to be cool too. Because Cherry and I both love to teach on Zoom.
Yes. It's such a great platform.
Yeah.
And and along with the blocks, there's going to be a lot more. We're going to show you, give you options and what to do with those little blocks. And so, we're going to have the applique, we're going to have the hand embroidery, and then I'll also have the option to do if you want to do it by machine. So,
Yes.
right. So it's
Right.
for everybody. And
Well, and also we're going to offer SVG files.
yes.
And so Cherry, will you talk about that a little
Yes.
bit?
So, oh my goodness. So I love applique and I love the process of tracing. But back in 2013, Brewer, the Bernina distributor, contacted me and they said, "Hey, you want to try this electronic cutter?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, yes," because they knew I like scrapbooking and.
Yeah.
And so from that point, I mean, it was like within days, I was like sold. And so I started cutting all my applique shapes with an electronic cutter. So it can be your silhouette or, I started out with silhouette and I used both silhouette and Cricut. But there's Brother Scan and Cut and there are a couple of other machines. So SVGs work with all of these machines. So of course, all our appliques will have SVG files so that if you have one of these little cutters, you can cut it with that. And if you don't know how to do that, we will have a class on that. So if you're curious about how to use your electronic cutter, I guess I'll be teaching that class, Annie.
All
And
right.
I'll walk you through all the basic steps so that you can start using that machine in quilting because it's fantastic. But so yeah, and it's fantastic. If you want to cut perfect circles, you got to have one of those little cutters. So yes, all our files will be all our appliques will have the SVG files.
Yes, cool. And so we have a Facebook group that is private for anybody who's interested in learning more about the quilt along and or is waiting for us to open up the registration for it. And so we're going to start putting more information about the project up there. And so you can, let's see, you can either go to Cherry's website
Mhm.
and choose.
So it's cherryblossoms.quilting.com. And just on my front page, if you scroll down, you'll see it because I have these ginormous pictures in there. So that'll take you to a page that is for the Count Your Blessings Quilt Along. And you can actually just put your name in there, just add your email to that. You're not going to receive all kinds of crazy emails. It's just for me to know that you are interested. And then when we decide to send out an email that says, hey, we're going to have, because we're going to actually have a little Zoom, uh, right,
Yep.
presentation so that we give you a little bit more information, more little, sneak peeks into what we're doing. So you can put your name and your email there, not even your name, just your email, I think. Maybe your first name or something. But anyway, put it in there so that we add you to that list. Or you can go to our Facebook page and it's Count Your Blessings Quilt Along. We'll have to share that link, right, Annie?
Yes.
You'll put that
Yeah.
link on your website, and you
Yep.
can also add your name to that list so that you're so that we can you can receive our announcements of
Yes.
what's coming.
Yes. Well, because on March 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern
Mhm.
or Central, we're both Central.
Central.
7 p.m.
I
Central.
think Central.
Okay, we are going to have a Zoom meeting to talk about everything for anybody who's interested. And it's a free Zoom meeting. So all you have to do, we'll put the link for the Zoom up on Facebook, and then it'll get sent out to everybody who's expressed interest to get information by email. And so all you have to do is click on the link, and Cherry and I will be there to talk about everything having to do with the project, show you what the kits look like, show you what the thread kits look like, talk about registration, because we're going to do a pre-registration period that has a discount associated with it. And what else?
We'll just give you all the secrets on that meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
So that you can
Without
join us.
and we're going to give you some little sneak peeks of kind of what the designs look like without giving them all away.
Yeah, we'll show you a little stitching,
Yeah.
a little applique.
But, you know, what we want to do is give you options. Like if you decide that you want to use your fabric instead of one of our kits, that's totally fine. And so, you know, the kits and the thread kits are optional. And so we want to make it pleasing for everyone.
Yes, right.
So, and we cannot wait to start this project because we're in the process of creating everything right now. And oh, I'm glad we started several months ago when we did, Jerry. You know, it takes a lot more than people generally think to
Right.
design something that, you know, because sometimes we might design something and then go, that wasn't exactly what I wanted. And either we start over again or we, you know, delete a part of what the design was and then
Right.
go ahead. And so there's a lot of refinement that goes on. And even when you choose fabrics and you start to build the block and you think, oh, this is going to be so cool. And then you take a picture of it and go, oh my gosh, where did my design go? Because the fabrics are too close to
Absolutely.
value.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's back to the drawing board. So, you know,
Yeah.
but it's
Right.
a fun thing. And of course, obviously, we really love it.
We absolutely love
do
that. Yes, yes, it is time consuming and it does take a lot of revisions. But you know, but anything worth doing.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. Well, oh my gosh, Cherry, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is actually not Cherry's first time on the podcast. When I met her at the Portland Quilt Market
Yes,
several years ago, I can't remember even when the year was it, would it have
I
been
think that was 2013. Was
Oh,
it?
yeah,
That was in Portland. And then we had Pennsylvania in 2015, right? Or was it?
yeah. So it was in Portland because I
Yeah,
didn't go to
I think it was,
Pennsylvania.
yeah, I think it was Portland.
But yeah, so I interviewed her on the quilt market floor for the podcast at that time.
Right.
And so, yeah, so if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you'll remember
Yeah.
that Cherry's been a part of the podcast before.
And I have been a listener of your podcast. So when I used to do my little long arm quilting, that's what I listened to. Your podcasts, they were just fantastic. I'm so glad you're doing this again.
Thanks. You know, I love it. I love talking about quilting and, you know, there's so many people doing podcasts and everybody comes at it from a different viewpoint and angle. It's just like quilt shops, right? It's like, you know, you could have, you know, 5 quilt shops in one town and each quilt shop is going to carry something different because the tastes of the owners are
Yes.
different.
The personality, yeah, shines through. Yeah.
So I'm glad that there's still a place for me here.
Yes, absolutely.
But the fun part is that I do it as a video recording and it'll be up on my YouTube channel. And you can find me there at Annie Smith Quilter if you put a search in the YouTube field, because I don't have enough followers yet to give myself a distinct name for you to follow. So once I have 100 followers, I'll be able to have it be exactly the same as all of my other social media handles. And then it's also available on iTunes and on my website, which is anniesmith.net, to listen to if somebody wants to just listen to the audio version and not listen, not have to watch the video. But personally, I'm kind of liking this video thing
I love it.
because it allows you to meet the person that I'm talking to without it just being pictures, and to be able to see lovely things like fabric collections and quilts and who Cherry really is. And so
Yes,
it's
fantastic.
fun.
One
Yeah.
of the good things about this whole pandemic, right?
Right, right. I mean, who knew? I mean, the amazing thing is that Zoom has been around for a while.
Yeah.
And, just as a corporate
Mhm.
platform, for video calling and stuff.
Right.
And oh my gosh, Cherry, we now live in the age of the Jetsons. Isn't that true? I
So
mean,
true.
for anybody who ever watched the Jetsons as a little kid, and we saw the Jetsons as first run cartoons, not, on the Cartoon Planet or whatever.
You're dating us.
I know. Well, me at least. But, thinking, oh, wow, wouldn't that be so cool? And,
Mhm.
oh, that'll never happen. And oh my goodness, here we are with a vengeance.
Yes.
You
Now if
know,
we just get Bernina to produce meals.
yeah, I know. Then we could,
Push a button, we just keep sewing.
I know, we could exercise while we're doing Zoom. But I guess if we had treadmills, we could put iPads there too and be exercising while we're talking. Oh, just go figure. What's
know.
next, right? What is next? Oh my goodness. But, I'm really grateful too, because it really helps us stay in touch with each other and,
Yes.
families and friends and coworkers and collaborators. And so
Absolutely. Yes. It's
pretty
wonderful.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Cherry, so tell us your website one more time, and I'll have the link to the things that we've talked about on my blog, along with my podcast link.
Oh, so you can find me at cherryblossoms.quilting.com.
Yes.
I have links to my other social media there.
Okay. And Cherry, you're also on Facebook and Instagram
Yes, I am.
as,
Cherry Blossoms Studio.
all right.
I should know these things.
I know. I have to think about it for a minute. Wait, what? All right. Well, quilters, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. And so we have some really exciting things ahead. And so hope you'll tune in for that and maybe join us for the Quilt-along. And so until next time, happy quilting.
Thanks, Annie.
Thanks. Okay. Oh, let's see. I don't want to end the meeting. Silly. I want to stop.